Hello and welcome to Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics. This is Cyrus. First, a quick shout out to a couple of the new patrons we have. Thank you so much for helping support this work. Really helps, especially during this trying time. Helps with getting information about an afterlife and philosophies associated out to people who I think sometimes really need it. And I think that so many people are going to have to go a little bit inward or begin thinking on spiritual terms during this the world pandemic that's happening right now and affecting literally everybody on the planet. Quite a unifying event in some ways. So I want to make a quick announcement, which is that I'm on the fourth day of battling coronavirus. And let me go ahead and back up a little bit and at least explain what happened or why I think I have coronavirus, what I've been experiencing, and how it all happened. So I'm in the city of Davao in Philippines, and to be perfectly honest, I don't trust this country, and I don't trust its government, and I don't trust the government of the city. And they have the official case count of COVID-19 cases of abnormally low. It was like five people or something potentially have it, but as of just in the last few days, that number has exploded in the unofficial count of people being observed and quarantined. Went from 0 up to like 4,000 people in the last couple days. And of the 4,000 people, a few hundred have been released as, quote, not having coronavirus. But apparently a lot of people in that group are also dying, like waiting to get tested or in the hospital under observation, and they're keeling over. So that's pretty suspicious. It does seem like there's a geopolitical, to put it bluntly, dick measuring contest going on right now, where a country or a city wants to say that they've done the best job of containing the coronavirus, and they're going to go through any measures to keep that number really, really low, even if it's actually much, much higher. So I'm afraid to say I think that's what's happening. Should I go in and get tested? Well, if I went into a hospital to get tested, they would actually confine me to a quarantine cell that would be about the size of like my bed, and I would have just like a little bed to lay on. I'd be fed bad food 3 times a day. I wouldn't have internet access, and I'd have to live like that for 30 days. And here in South Philippines, and where I don't trust the quality of the hospitals either. So that would be bad news if I did that, and I think many other people know this too. So of the 4,000 people under quarantine, these are all people who voluntarily went into the hospital knowing that they would end up in that type of condition. And again, not many people want to do that. So think about how big that number really is. I wouldn't be surprised if 100,000 people in this city have COVID-19. So a couple of weeks ago, I was out with a couple of friends, and we were exposed to a woman who I'm calling Typhoid Mary. Typhoid Mary decided to go out clubbing and partying with a high fever and just pretend like it was no big deal, which is also something that sometimes I see, well, in this culture especially, of just like ignore the problem and it goes away. So she's out, spreading this illness to everybody in the club, and I'm with these other two friends of mine, and she's too drunk to go home, so she ends up sleeping, back at my place, and then as well as the other two girls I'm with, and she's basically giving it to all of us. Now, fast forward 2 weeks later, of the other two girls I know, one of them starts getting sick, the other isn't sick, and then I start getting sick. And so what happened is, so about 4 days ago, I suddenly came down with 102, maybe 103 degree fever. Hit me very fast, very quickly, as I've read about happens with this particular illness. Hit my stomach, so I had diarrhea with that, which I've also read can happen sometimes. Then very quickly moved into my lungs, started experiencing a bit of a dry cough, a feeling like there's something in my chest, a little bit of chest pain, body aches, the whole that whole deal, and I realized this is not good. I think this could very easily be COVID-19, and so I have to start getting my getting things in order. My travel insurance, other medical evacuations. What the heck am I gonna do? And very scary time, man. It's not fun not knowing, just not knowing what the hell you're gonna do next. I did contact Marcus from our group, and he's a physical medium. And so Marcus said he was going to send a spirit doctor my way to check on me. So I'm like, all right, feel free to do that. So I'm here now with one of those girls who was also exposed. She basically has decided to self-quarantine herself as well. So we're just going to just stay in this apartment for like, the next 25 days at least, and try not to interact with anybody. So anyway, so she's here with me, and she's staying with me. And about 1 a.m. there's a pot on the shelf flies off the shelf by itself. It's stable on the shelf, and like it just gets picked up and thrown across the room, and bounces and lands somewhere on the kitchen floor, and it wakes both of us up. And we're like, what the heck just happened? And so I talked to Marcus the next day, and he's like, it was not his intention to scare anybody. It's possible that this spirit doctor entering my apartment at that time caused some kind of a disruption, or as a side effect may have caused that kind of physical manifestation to happen, which is stuff getting moved or knocked around. So anyway, the next day, most of those pretty bad symptoms had all gone away. I was informed that this spirit doctor had manipulated my immune system, or bolstered it a bit, so it should allow me to fight off the infection, and that I indeed have COVID-19. So I got some spirit doctor diagnosis. Who needs a real doctor when you can get spirit doctors to come into your apartment at 1 o'clock in the morning? So, but I felt a lot better the next day. Felt all right, but I still did. But now I had like a dry cough, stuff in my lungs. Some of those symptoms was all right. Then the next day also felt okay. Then suddenly my fever spiked again, 102 degrees, and it comes on so quickly. It's like you want to just pass out. And if you remember, like during the early days of this pandemic, there were people on the streets in China and around Wuhan. There was videos of people just collapsing. And I think I know why. It's because the virus gives you the illusion that you've beaten it. It gives you the illusion that you're better. And this is why it's spreading around so much. Because then they think, oh, okay, I'm better. It's the third day. I'm feeling okay. I'm going to go out, take a walk, go to the store. They don't realize that, one, they're at their most contagious point, so they're going to spread it to everybody else. And number two, what this virus seems to do is it's a constant tug of war with your immune system. So I would better call this the assassin virus. It just hangs out in your body, and it's constantly waiting until it finds the opportunity to get past your defenses, and then it attacks you. And then you get some new symptom in some new way that it just hits you, usually in your lungs, or you might get a really bad fever or whatever it is. But once there's a little bit of a weakness in your immune system, then it comes after you, and then suddenly you feel like you want to pass out, and you should hope you're close to a bed, because you just want to lie down and not move. And it may be accompanied by your fever just spiking through the roof. And then so that lasts a couple of hours, and then I'm better again, because now my immune system just picked back up and fought it back off. And with all of these symptoms, I mean, let's be clear, none of it is even a fraction as bad as like the flu I had last year. The killer flu I had in 2017 almost took my brother's wife's life, which was also attacking the lungs. So it's like the symptoms are not bad, and if you're freaked out, you're gonna get this virus, and then you're gonna be horrible, and you're feeling horrible and miserable. I mean, you don't have to be that afraid, because it doesn't, you don't get the sore throat, you don't get all the phlegm and the mucus, you don't feel that bad. I mean, you can feel really lethargic and feverish, but it comes and it goes. But it's like you don't feel that miserable. But what makes it such a serious illness is that even if you feel okay, like you got that assassin living in your body just waiting for a way in. And that's why keeping your immune system up is so important. Not just for preventing the illness, but for having the illness itself, because that's how you beat it away, by keeping the immune system up. So I've been chopping lemons and pouring hot, boiling water on the lemons and having like a lemon tea, and then after I drink the water, then I eat the whole lemon. I've been told that this is very effective. And as well as eating a lot of garlic. So I have Wendy here, and she's cooking every day and cooking lots of garlic for us and stuff to keep, just to stay healthy, keep the immune system going. Avoiding white rice and stuff that's very sugary. So we got a lot of like brown rice. And I think I'll be fine, but just keeping that immune system up as strong as you can, and taking it seriously even if you feel fine. I think that's the key with COVID, is just understand it's how it's operating. And yes, there is a small chance I don't have it, that maybe there is some kind of a mirror virus that's just mimicking all the same symptoms. I mean, that's possible, but it's sure is a coincidence, especially given that this is one of the weirdest sicknesses I've ever had. It's just not behaving like it would a typical flu or anything else. So what are the odds of that I would have the weirdest illness I've ever had on top of the global pandemic happening? I just don't think so. I'm pretty sure that I have COVID-19, and I'm going to definitely assume I do, and try not to interact with anybody else, at least for the next month. So now it means I'm in Philippines for at least 3.5 more weeks, and everything is completely uncertain. Right now, you can't fly into the city, you can't fly out, you can't get in or out by road. What's going to happen by a month from now? What condition is the world going to be in? Is it going to be even worse? I have no way to get home, no way to get back to the USA. I'm basically just stuck here. I don't know what the future is going to hold. Will this part of the world run out of supplies? Will there not be enough food to eat? What's going to happen? I don't know. One thing I can say is people here seem all right. I'm getting reports out of Los Angeles and places back home that it's just like a post-apocalypse right now, and people raiding supermarkets. There's nothing on the shelves, and at least I can say that that's not happening here. People are more accustomed to hardship in this part of the world, and so they're a little bit less likely, I think, to freak the FUCK out as they are back home in the States. So people here are very paranoid and doing the right thing and avoiding social contact, and everybody just kind of spaces out, doesn't really go near each other. But what I'm not seeing are people panicking here like we're seeing in the States. I'm kind of seeing life just kind of going on in the city. Necessary jobs are still active. You got people here doing construction work, and all the 7-Eleven stores are open, and there's traffic in the streets. People are out walking about, and people look happy. But everybody knows what's going on, and there's a lot of precautions being taken despite all of that. I think, like I said before, the city is hopelessly corrupt, and the actual number of people with this sickness is much higher than it's being reported. I'm actually my place is next to an emergency room, and it's just filled full of people when I saw it last. So that's kind of the state of things, the state of what's happening with me, and I'm just going to take things day by day. And honestly, if it's COVID, I feel pretty liberated, because it means I'm immunized. I don't have to worry about it for a while, and and I'm fine. But I'll tell you, the first day was scary. It was no joke. And since then, I've been much better, and Wendy here hasn't really come down with symptoms yet. Our other friend has. Typhoid Mary is still in denial that she's even sick or ever was sick, and it's really annoying. And that's exactly the kind of person who has created this pandemic, people who just don't give a crap. and they live in denial, and they don't, they don't have regard for other people. It's why it's necessary to shut down bars and restaurants, nightclubs, and have alcohol curfews like we have right now in this city, because of people like Typhoid Mary who just don't give a crap. So that's it. That's my current adventure with COVID-19. And it is an adventure. I'm not like miserable about it. It's, to me, it's another exciting story to talk about. It's interesting, the situation I'm in. I don't know what's going to happen, but, I'll be all right. And again, I mean, look, I want to cough all the time. It's in my, I know it's in my lungs. It's hanging out in my body, but I'll get through it. And, it's like I said, it's an assassin illness. It's not, on a level of just like discomfort. It's not even in the same league as a typical flu, but it doesn't mean that you should underestimate it. Do I think that the whole world should be shut down over this? Well, I don't really know. I think the most vulnerable people need to be protected. That's elderly people, people with pre-existing conditions, people with HIV. Like, that's what this is all about. Okay? And I want to make one more point before I get off this topic, which is that I don't have a face mask. You know why I don't have a face mask? Because all the healthy people bought all the face masks in the city. Face masks do not protect you from getting it. Face masks, unless it's an N95 antiviral mask, a face mask is designed for people who are already sick so that they don't give it to other people. And because all the healthy people bought all the face masks, now as a sick person, I don't have a way to protect others because I can't go out and buy one. So what does that tell you? Again, selfish behavior, just, making a situation that's bad much worse than it has to be. So congratulations to human race for being just stupid on an epic level. All right. So I want to talk about the next part of this video, which is kind of like how to deal with a crisis and how this helps connect you to your higher self. So real quick, before I go into that, I want to mention that you are watching Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics, and thanks for listening to what I have to say, being part of this channel. If you're new around here, be sure to subscribe and stay in touch with me. Hit that notification bell, and even shoot me an email. I have my email on the bottom left side of the screen. I'm usually happy to chat with people if I can take some time out to do that. Or leave a comment too. So I saw a video recently by this guy, and he's a prison gang leader from California, one of the most notorious ones. And he has a YouTube channel. And YouTube channel is called, let me just pull my internet back up so I can connect to it. So basically, despite this guy being this heavily tattooed, jacked up guy, sounds like he's on way too much cocaine or something. I like this channel because he inserts spiritual messages in all of his like gangsta videos. And I don't mean like quasi-spiritual messages, I mean like legit stuff. And he inserts it in with all of the sort of like videos that appeal to people on the wrong tracks in life, to criminals and to to scumbags. He's sending messages out from somebody who's been there, he's been in the prison system, was a major prison gang leader, and that's who he's talking to. And he's inserting a lot of these really interesting spiritual messages in all the videos. So for that, I really have to applaud the guy. So the channel is called GP, which means General Pop, Penitentiary Life, Wes Watson. And so he actually basically he begins the video with a call that we need more spiritual leaders right now
the leaders
during the crisis.
In 2020, they need to be more spiritually inclined. The information's everywhere. It's everywhere, and nobody knows what to do with it. Now,
I don't know if the audio was coming through or not because I had my thing plugged in. But anyway, yeah, as you can see, the guy's jacked up on something. Either, as one commenter pointed out, either way too much pre-workout supplements or maybe a little bit of the white stuff, if you know what I mean.
now, in the age of information, The leaders will be those who are more spiritually inclined. This is what must happen. Why? Because everybody is teaching everyone to gain, to gain, to gain.
But the guy makes a lot of sense. In a situation like this, you don't want leaders talking, going at all into their self-interest during a time like this. It's about, you need to have actual spiritual leaders during a crisis. So if you keep watching this guy's video, he said something very profound, which is that as a way to connect to your higher self, you need to be in a crisis and you have to go way outside of your comfort zone. By doing this, you connect with your higher self again. You reconnect to, the bigger picture of who you are. If you spend your days in just a routine, doing the same stupid stuff again and again, not growing and not putting yourself in tough situations, you are not reconnecting to that. And so you are staying on the same level that you'll always be at until you claw yourself out of that. What Wes Watson likes to talk about is, the very experience of having been a criminal, been a gang leader, being in prison, and having to deal with all these things, was the thing that led to a spiritual awakening. Which by spiritual awakening, we mean a real spiritual awakening. We don't mean a guy taking a vacation to Bali and taking a yoga class and bragging on Instagram about his raw food diet. We're talking about dealing with hardship, dealing with tough situations, dealing with challenges, and putting yourself in situations where you are forced to not only help yourself, but help the people around you, build your community up, and everybody survives something together. And then you learn the power of service to other people, and then you discover the power within yourself about your higher self, who you are, what you can accomplish, what you can do, and who and what you really are. Because most likely, a pencil pusher in some office is not who you really are. What you really are goes far beyond that. You have an ancient cosmic history that dates back to countless past lives, countless incarnations, existences, that is most likely timeless. So your true history is hidden from you. You have probably been throughout your existence a great leader, a great warrior or warrioress. You have been somebody who has dealt with an incredible array of challenges, and you have incredible intelligence. All that is closed away to you. And how do you reawaken that? How do you come back to what you really are? Well, you need a crisis. What better opportunity than the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic for you to reawaken who you really are again and rediscover yourself? There's many ways we can rediscover ourselves, and for most people, they don't act on those things. For me, it's been traveling the world out of a backpack, experiencing different cultures, people, situations, being in tough situations, having had medical crises. I've been in a lot of situations. My buddy Nate, who's a former Marine Corps senior drill instructor, awesome guy, one of my close friends, it was going to war in Iraq, seeing people die. This, as tough as it was his spiritual awakening. And he said that one of the awakening moment was when he had just been basically confined to like a combat situation for days, and barely had anything to eat or drink, and was dehydrated and just at his physical edge. And he found a MRE packet with MRE hot cocoa in it. He poured the hot cocoa in a cup. You heat it up using the MRE heating thing that they have, like a little chemical mix. And he drank that hot chocolate, said it was the most divine tasting chocolate he'd ever drank in his life. It was like a spiritual experience, right? Just drinking that hot chocolate when he had nothing even close to anything that was nice or pleasant or good tasting in many days of being in I believe it was the battle for, might have been Fallujah in Iraq, right at the onset of the Iraq War. So his awakening moment came from drinking an MRE hot chocolate ration. He loves to tell that story, and I love the story also. But I mean, that just gives you an example. And then, people who go through that darkness sometimes, or who fight through the challenge, who go through the hero's journey, you can tell because they're, actual spiritual motherfuckers. They're people who you can tell when you're around them because they have a presence that really is positive. You really do feel like they are a leader when you're around them. You want to be around them, and you want to follow them into battle. And you also feel like a kind of kindness that you can't always explain, because their minds are truly not completely centered just in service to themselves. You're around them, you know that they care in some way about the people and the well-being around them. And that is leadership, and is what we need right now, just as this jacked up dude is talking about in his video.
By this information, nobody knows where to truly place it, but the real leaders are going to teach the character and the values that go along with properly handling all this information.
And the channel is called, the video is called Corona Crisis, We Need Leaders. It's by GP Penitentiary Life. Wes Watson, something to check out. So pretty much that's it for this video. I need to go out, get some sunlight, and, of course, very carefully go out, not touch doorknobs, disinfect myself first, stand around in the sun, very carefully come back into my apartment. I'm trying to take as many precautions as possible, but I need that sunlight, need that vitamin D to help heal from this. And keep fighting along, and tell me in the comments down below what you're doing and how you're using this world pandemic to enhance yourself on a self-development level. I'd love to find out. And if you want to get involved, again, AfterlifeTopics.com, the Facebook group Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics. You can become a patron, patreon.com/AfterlifeTopics. I have kind of made this into my job now, and it's enough just to get by and make videos, run the community, write books, and run the website and all of that. But any support is that morale that helps keep me going at the end of every month. I know that I can still put food on the plate. I can still progress and keep going forward. So if you want to become a patron, I'm always happy to work with you one-on-one, talk to you over Zoom, Skype, anything you need. If you want to help see the channel go in particular directions, I'll always listen to the backers and the patrons about anything, so always appreciate any help on that level. Anyway, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys soon on the next video.